Karoline Leavitt is tough. Not someone you ever challenge.
Especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now.
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star.
That's Jasmine getting slammed with a much-needed dose of reality for her comments, and she's not the only one. Karine Jean-Pierre also faced intense backlash during a heated White House press briefing.
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie.
That's why today we're jumping into moments when Karoline didn't just fire back, she completely scorched her critics. So buckle up, because this is about to get good.
I believe that Trump supporters are mentally ill before calling for bipartisan support against the president. Can you respond to that, especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now?
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness. The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots, the forgotten men and women, business owners, law enforcement officers, nurses and teachers, and middle America, as we all know, from where you all grew up, outside of this beltway. That's who makes up this president's movement. And Jasmine Crockett should go to a Trump rally sometime and she can see it for herself.
She's absolutely right. Jasmine's political takes are so shallow they border on performance art. The sad truth is they follow a tired pattern we've seen from Democratic leaders before. Remember Hillary's infamous basket of deplorables? Or Biden casually writing off half the country as garbage. Statements like that would have ended political careers not so long ago. Now they're brushed aside without a second thought. It's no longer just a strategy. It's the new normal on the left. That kind of divisive rhetoric keeps getting a free pass, but not today. Up next, Jerome Powell's in the hot seat because Karoline brought the receipts.
I would remind the Fed chair, and I would remind the entire world, that this is a president who was a businessman first, and he knows what he is doing. He has a proven economic formula that worked in his first term as president, and it is working again. The one problem that remains is high interest rates for the American people. The American people want to borrow money cheaply, and they should be able to do that. But unfortunately, we have interest rates that are still too high. So the president sent this note to the Fed chair today. And if you look at this chart, this is a chart of all of the interest rates of many countries throughout the world are all paying lower interest rates than the United States of America, which has one of the hottest and strongest economies in the world. The president sent this note to the Fed chair. It says, "Jerome, you are as usual too late. You have cost the USA a fortune and continue to do so. You should lower the rate by a lot. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being lost and there is no inflation." And the president is right. There is historically low inflation thanks to his policy.
This all went down after Powell stubbornly doubled down on interest rates, even going so far as to blame Trump's tariffs for his decision. The backlash has been growing fast, and now calls for his resignation are getting louder every day. Plenty of people have weighed in, but no one did it quite like Karoline. She used the president's own words and delivered her takedown with razor-sharp precision. But that was nothing compared to what happened next. A CNN journalist got utterly torched for covering so-called intelligence leaks.
Said that the DIA report was low confidence intel. Can you share what other assessments are currently underway to get to the bottom of just how effective these strikes were?
Yes, well, I can assure you what the CIA director said, that when we look at the entirety of the intelligence that we have to this date, it concludes that these strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities were absolutely successful. It was a total obliteration, as the president said, and not only does our own intelligence say that, but also the Iranian foreign minister has said that. We saw Israel conclude the same thing based on their own intelligence. We also had the United Nations say that as well. So I think the only other time the United Nations, Israel, Iran, and the United States has agreed on something is that the sky is blue, but they all agree that Iran's nuclear facilities were completely demolished.
Think about it. No credible agency would ever just hand over its real analysis to the media, especially when it comes to something as sensitive as the situation with Iran. These kinds of assessments are classified for a reason. But right on cue, CNN jumped in with multiple stories claiming that leaked intel showed the mission completely missed its mark. The narrative spread like wildfire, even though the claims were shaky from the start. In response, the Pentagon and FBI launched an investigation into how this information leaked, pointing out that it was all built on low-confidence intel. Translation: its credibility was questionable from day one, yet it was pushed as fact anyway.
But I believe the FBI is investigating to find out who that leaker was, because it's illegal and they should be held accountable for that. Leaked bits and pieces of an intel assessment to push a false narrative. And it's to the same reporter, I will add, Natasha Bertrand of CNN, who has done this in the past. In 2020, it was Natasha Bertrand who had 51 intelligence analysts falsely lie to her, but she still put it on paper for some reason, that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. We all know that's not true, right? We can all agree on that now. That was a lie from the intelligence community. And so this is a reporter who has been unfortunately used by people who dislike Donald Trump in this government to push fake and false narratives. She should be ashamed of herself. And that's not what reporting is. Journalism is trying to find the facts and the truth. And this week we saw this same reporter being used to push a fake narrative to try to undermine the President of the United States, and more importantly, the brave fighter pilots who conducted one of the most successful operations in United States history.
She's absolutely right. Journalism these days has devolved into a frantic race to be first, because the faster a story spreads, the more clicks and ad revenue it generates. But in this rush to break the news, actual facts are often abandoned. Then these same legacy outlets act shocked when their ratings nosedive and public trust evaporates. The fix isn't rocket science. Report the facts, and maybe people will start trusting the media again. Up next, Karoline lands some sharp jabs at her predecessor after Karine Jean-Pierre bizarrely tried to compare the current press access rules to those in North Korea.
Predecessor Karine Jean-Pierre, who presided over many novel press access restrictions, criticized the recent changes to the press pool made by your office. She said in an interview, quote, "What we're looking at is what North Korea is doing." What's your response to that, and can you say anything to allay concerns that unfavorable coverage will be punished in this new press pool system?
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie. Many people in this room knew it was a lie. Many of you were admonished for asking questions about that truth. So when it comes to truth and transparency, this administration, this White House is setting the example. This president is taking far more questions than his predecessor, Joe Biden, did on a daily basis, and that will continue.
It's more than a little ironic hearing Karine Jean-Pierre talk about freedom of the press, considering what's happened under her watch. During her time as press secretary, more than 440 journalists lost their access to the White House press pool. On top of that, reporters were routinely asked to submit their questions in advance, completely undermining the whole point of a live press briefing. And if anything came up that didn't fit the script, or made things even slightly uncomfortable, it was simply brushed aside. So when she starts preaching about defending the press or respecting free speech, it's hard to take seriously.
President Macron of France earlier today said that tariffs levied by powerful countries are often a form of blackmail, and criticized the sort of process that's underway. Didn't mention the United States specifically, but said that these tariffs are really hurting developing countries. So there's this big UN conference going on. What do you say to that?
I think the president and the White House would certainly reject that characterization by Prime Minister Macron. Tariffs are an effective use of presidential power to bring back the middle class, to bring back our manufacturing industry, which was the backbone of our American economy and has been hollowed out by globalist politicians who have caved to foreign countries instead of doing what's right for American workers. That's why the president is effectively utilizing his authority to wage tariffs and to utilize tariffs, and continues to be in discussions and negotiations on trade to do what's right for America. And Europe and the rest of the world might not be used to that, but President Trump is back in town and he's going to do what's right for our people and our country.
Pardon my French, but Monsieur Macron is really something else. This is the same guy who was loudly pushing the EU to strong-arm China with a full-blown trade war not too long ago. And let's not forget that plenty of developing countries, especially across Africa, are still getting slammed with steep tariffs, thanks to France and the broader EU. So spare us the lectures and save the grandstanding. For your next fancy wine and cheese summit, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, so let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends. It really helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.